All right, now to the correction of history in Major League Baseball. Today, MLB announced it is reclassifying the Negro Leagues, giving them Major League status. MLB says the move corrects a long-time oversight in the game's history. The Negro Leagues, made up of 7 leagues from 1920 to 1948, and began to dissolve 1 year after Jackie Robinson became MLB's first black player with the Brooklyn Dodgers. That was in 1947. Those leagues were excluded in 1969 when the Special Committee of Baseball Records identified 6 official major leagues dating back to 1876. Today's announcement reverses that decision, and joining us now on NewsNation to talk about this is Bob KENDRICK, president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, and we also have Sean Gibson with us, who is the great-grandson of perhaps one of the greatest baseball players in the Negro Leagues, maybe of all time, that, of course, Josh Gibson. Bob, let's start with you. There's really no doubt in the baseball world that the Negro Leagues were a major league, but now it's official. What, in your mind, does that mean to you, and what does it mean to baseball?
Players who played in the Negro Leagues, and Sean, as well as I, got to know any number of them, they weren't looking necessarily for validation. They knew how good they were, and they knew how good their league was. But when I start to look at this from a historical standpoint, that's what makes this day so important and so special, that they are getting the long overdue recognition that they deserve, even though they never sought that. And so that's important. It's important to us here at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, and I truly believe that it's important for baseball fans.
Sean, your great-grandfather, as we said, is considered one of the best, if not the best. I'm sure you have heard so many stories about him. Give us your favorite.
Well, like you said, he's considered one of the greatest baseball players ever. I mean, there's several stories about Josh Gibson, but the main stories I like to talk about is off the field. I mean, you hear all about the home run greatness and him being a great catcher and a great hitter. But Josh Gibson was also a great family man. I mean, some people may not know that he was a single father. You know, his wife died giving birth to their twins, boy-girl twin, Josh Jr. and Helen. And so he was a single father raising 2 kids in a traumatic time of our era of our time when there was a lot of racism going on. So, you know, but he was a great dancer. He loved to dance. My family always talked about how he was around etiquette. You know, he was really particular about etiquette and table settings and things like that. So, but overall, he was just a great man. And I think some people think of Josh Gibson as a superstar, but as family members, they just called him Big Josh.
He was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame 30 years after his death, if I remember that correctly, Josh. That was 1972. What do you think this would mean to him today?
I mean, like Bob said, I mean, it'll mean a lot, but, you know, these guys did play the game because they love the game of baseball. Today is a historic occasion for all the great Negro League baseball players that came along. But if Josh Gibson was alive today, I mean, he would be just like everybody else, excited and happy for the acknowledgement that these guys did on the field.
Bob, in addition to the philosophical meaning to this, there's also actually something very concrete, and that has to do with records. And the records that will now be counted from the Negro Leagues as part of the Major League Baseball record. Talk about that.
Well, for baseball fans, you know, no sport holds to its history the way ours does. It's a beautiful game of comparisons and statistics. And what people have always seemingly tried to discount the Negro Leagues is that the statistics weren't as readily available. And so I do tip my cap to all of those who've taken this deep dive into trying to research and comb and find quantifiable ways to put these numbers together. I put those numbers, again, into context because there's still that much work left to be done. But if it makes Josh Gibson's amazing 1943 season when he hit 441, and now that is the new gold standard for a season, that's pretty doggone special. Or if Monty Irvin's career statistics now will put him over 300 because of the work that he did and put in the Negro Leagues, I'm excited about that. But for me, you can never define the Negro Leagues by statistics. But they are a way in this instance to try and put today's monumental decision into proper context.
Yeah. Well, we thank you both for doing that for us tonight. Man, you think about the names Satchel, Cool Papa, Smokey Joe, Double Duty Ratcliffe. There were just so many great characters in the Negro Leagues. And I love the fact that so much of that memorabilia is popular now. You can get it online, the jerseys and the hats. Bob Kendrick, president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, and also Sean Gibson, the great-grandson of the great Josh Gibson. A wonderful day, not only for the Negro Leagues, but for America's pastime as well. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
My pleasure.
Thank you.